Hello, beautiful souls. I have been feeling so many different energies and messages coming in for this full blood moon eclipse in Taurus on November 8th, which is tomorrow for me. I don't know, some places it's already happening, some places it'll happen a little later. There's some interesting energies that have been coming up. I have been thinking about doing tarot card reading, though there's been so much of this energy between like busy work and yet also kind of this like slow, heavy energy going on. And then if you are anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, we just got hit by a huge windstorm. Like, I'm fairly certain from my experience over the years in this state that it was definitely like lower hurricane forces because trees came down everywhere. There was no power for anybody. The space that we're staying at was almost 3 days worth of no power. And one of the most interesting things was is there were trees that were uprooted in places that you almost don't expect, like that you wouldn't usually see them uprooted. Like, I've seen a lot of spaces that have like lost like bigger older trees, but like there were young healthy trees that were like uprooted in fancy parking lots where there really shouldn't have been enough to catch them and knock them over like that, but it was a very big windstorm. A very blustery day, as they'd say in Winnie the Pooh. So that to me is very fitting, especially in Scorpio season, with the Taurus full moon coming up, that it makes sense of this energies. And these energies are aligned, just like the new moon being in Scorpio was aligned with the south node of this year's eclipse season. This uh, full moon in Taurus is also aligned with those, right? So the North Node right now is in Taurus, South Node is in Scorpio. So we've got those two energies in play right now, and they're like enhanced because they're lined up with each other. And the North Node and South Node, very much in a person's chart or in in the many forms of charts there can be, are they're nodes of karma, past and present, current, things like that, the future and whatnot. There's a lot of lineups and things you read about that have to do with the nodes of fate and destiny and things like that. And it's very likely that you probably have been noticing those energies floating around. You may have noticed something going on in your life that feels kind of like it's related to some kind of fate. Maybe it's something that you've known about, that you've been intuitive about, or something you've been wanting, or it could be something that you didn't quite expect. It could be something that you thought was gone or something you didn't think would come. Either way. And there is this kind of like undertone of like piratey energy. I kind of get this sense that for those of you that will resonate with this message, like you may have noticed to some degree the anti-hero era energy that came up, or villain era energy, where like a lot of people that were in codependent dynamics and energies in family situations where they were not being treated well, or they were being abused, scapegoated, the black sheeps, things like that. Everybody kind of standing up and going, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing, even though I know that you're going to say, all of you with bad boundaries and you want to do piratey stuff, you're going to say that I'm the bad guy. And you know what? That's fine. Like, if you want to consider me, that is fine, because I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to do the right thing, even if it's not the popular thing. I'm going to do the right thing for me and for those around me, right? So it feels like collectively there's been a lot of that energy, like people speaking truth and saying no more to corrupt situations, and being that brave person who's willing to stand up alone if need be. And now we're kind of in this energy where it's like that still stands. And there's been a bit of a lull of things. The lights went out, right? The power went out on all sides for a minute there. And it feels like what's kind of going to be illuminated um, in this energy is going to be that, like, now those other energies, whether they were pirates or potatoes, either people that were intentionally doing things they knew that were wrong, or people that like we're doing wrong things but maybe did not realize it. So pirates, potatoes, like they're likely going to reveal themselves and or be revealed by spirit like pulling off the curtain of what they may have been trying to do in order to what they feel is even the score. And it feels like it's kind of one of those where, I mean, some of you who resonate with this video might need to face some of that stuff. You know, it really depends on how you've lived your life and the things that come up. And my best advice in that situation is, you know, handle things with grace and humility. Face what's yours to face. Don't run from it. And for others of you who've lived your lives in, you know, pretty peaceful ways, other than the truths that you've spoken, or if you've picked up your pen and, you know, made your voice heard, or picked up your camera, or, you know, written articles or spoken your truth and things like that, don't worry so much. You know, you're spiritually protected, especially the more that you have sat in truth and sat in kindness and sat in love and worked on yourself and done your best to stay in your own lane, that sort of thing. Like you'll be more in a, how do I put it? It's kind of funny to call it a third party role, but it's not quite that. It's like you'll be in more of an observer role. Like, and you might have some times where you feel pulled into it, or you might have the opportunity to be in it. And my best recommendation is to kind of sit with that observer role. You know, like sit with yourself and your energies. How do you feel about what's going on? You know, think about what energies are coming back up, especially with Saturn being direct again. You know, and then having Jupiter and Pisces too, it's a really good time to have faith in things. And especially in eclipse season and Scorpio energy, like this is a really common time when you see things manifest that were highly improbable before. You know, it's one of those expect the unexpected, believe in what has been unbelievable. You know, I love Jupiter and Pisces energy, quite frankly. Um, and what's kind of nice is that when it's got the boundaries of Saturn in direct, it can really manifest some beautiful things in these, you know, expect the unexpected sort of energies, especially if in your heart and your mind you have a positive focus. If your imagination is in a good place, you know, like if you're in an icky place where you're like imagining icky things happening to people, and like, you know, it's not that it's not understandable from a human standpoint to be like, ah, well, that person deserves that because they were mean to me at this time when I was nice to them, or anything like that. Like, see, I can't even I spend a lot more time trying to be in positive energy, so trying to string together old victimy feelings, like, I don't know, I'm out of practice and I like that. But if you're in a good space of, like, you know, even if something happens, you can wish for the benevolent best for everyone. You can, you know, you can pray for the wholeness and healing of people, and you can be in a humble space of recognizing, like even if you had to pull out your Queen of Swords or King of Swords kind of energy to show some truth, and maybe it was a bit spicy, even at that, like, even if the swords of justice, you know, the scales of justice come down on someone and it says, like, yes, you've been weighed and found guilty of whatever thing, like, that doesn't mean that we need to be in a space of, like, looking at them as lesser, or saying, haha, or I told you so, or like, well, you deserved that sort of thing. Like, we've all at one point in time in our lives been in a space of being piratey, you know, like of being in a space where we knew we were doing the wrong thing and we kept doing it anyways. And I feel like that's a big part of this energy going on right now. Is kind of that, like, if spirit were to peel away the masks that we wear in our human masquerade, the divine comedy as Shakespeare called it, what would be there? You know, what would be under there? Would it be somebody who's spitting mad Would it be somebody who feels like entirely insecure, that they feel like a victim to all things? Would it be somebody entirely selfish who genuinely only cared about themselves? Would it be somebody who is so selfless that they didn't care enough about themselves? Would it be somebody who's kind? Would it be somebody who is cruel? Like think about it. Like if all your thoughts were, you know, up on a reader board wherever you went and people could see them, are you speaking nice to yourself? Are you thinking well of other people? And when you talk to other people, do you speak well? Do you at least even try to bring a balance into how you talk if there are moments when you are speaking about someone you're frustrated with? It feels like there's a fair amount of energies too that are coming up, if you're resonating with this video, that are like, can you just be the observer for a little while? Like, do you need to be the action taker? Because typically it's those who need to be in control and those who have to have their sword at the top of the hill, so to speak, that are the ones that are going to find themselves in some spicy energy coming up, like it's kind of that Lady of the Lake test energy. Like, if you're all gung ho and trying to fight with anyone and everything around you right now, you're likely going to find yourself in a fight with someone who is in kind of that same energy that you are, but oddly orchestrated so that it's just enough to keep setting you off, you know? And, likewise, if you're in a space where you are mostly inwardly peaceful, you're likely to find yourself more around people that are like that in situations where that is reflected back to you. So I guess the main thing is just to consider 12:12 on the clock, which is like double hanged man, right? That observer position. Like, can you, there it is. If you could, would you tie yourself to the world tree and hang upside down to see what you could learn by hanging above the well, right? And that hanged man energy is that, like, it doesn't need to be waiting. I think a lot of people see it initially as like a timeout, right? Like, you can't move forward, you can't do things, you can't do this and that. But really it's that moment of like, can you look inward at the well? Like, and can you observe things around you? Like, life offers so many different moments. Some are action taking moments. Sometimes we get on that Knight of Swords and we just, we gallop in and we don't think about like exactly what we're doing. We just go, right? Other times you want to be more like the Queen of Pentacles and be more introspective. Like, like, do I like what I'm doing? Yes, I like what I'm doing. Do I want to try what I'm doing in a slightly different way? That might be fun, right? More inquisitive, more introspective about it, right? There are all different kinds of moments in life, of human experiences, and these are one of those where, yes, we have some kind of hanged man type of energy that we're being called towards, but it doesn't feel like one of those, like, spirit is demanding, like laying down the hanged man card and saying, you must wait, there's an impasse, you cannot go forward, I'm tying you up there. No, this is one of those optional moments that's like, if you are willing, to stop and be mindful, to meditate, to rest, to hang between things for a little bit, you might learn a few things and you might save yourself from going back through some other kinds of karmic cycles, Just some food for thought over this eclipse season and some of the energies that feel like they are coming up. Please feel free to comment below with what you're noticing and what resonates in this for you, and I'll see you in the next video.